Another day, another blowout loss for the Mariners on this nightmare of a road trip. Our thoughts on George Kirby and more coming up here on the Locked On Mariners postgame show. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Ahoy, sailors. It is Wednesday, June 7th, 2023. This is Trident Gonzalez and Colby Patnote for the Locked On Mariners postgame show brought to you by Bird Dogs. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnMLB. And when you enter promo code LockedOnMLB, they'll throw in a free custom Bird Dogs Yeti-style tumbler with every order. Thank you so much for making us your first listen after the game. Subscribe, like, and turn on alerts if you're watching on YouTube, or subscribe and leave a 5-star review on your preferred podcast platform if you like what you hear. And if you're part of the crew and rock with us every single day, let us know in the comments below. And if you want to hear from us even more, please consider signing up for our Patreon. You can now get a free 7-day trial to check out the show. The link, as well as our social accounts, is in the description of this episode. 10-3, the final score from San Diego. Mariners split their 2-game series with the Padres. They didn't score until the 8th inning in this one, well after George Kirby was chased after 3 2/3 innings pitched. And that's where we'll begin today, Colby, with George Kirby. This is his second really rough start over his last 3. We're obviously seeing regression, but how concerning is the regression we're seeing right now?
Not very. I mean, so Kirby today, it's the same game plan that gets him every time. He gets ambushed. He's always around the strike zone. 16 of 21 first pitch strikes. Like, he's always in the strike zone early. He's always around the zone. And as we know, as we continue to say, he doesn't have elite stuff. So if he's going to catch any part of the plate, he's imminently hittable. So it's just one of those things where he's got to be on the corners. He's got to be sharp. He just didn't have it today. There's also, some element of some bad luck. It seemed like every ball that was put in play by San Diego just happened to find a hole or a gap or something like that. And obviously the first run probably shouldn't happen, but Kelnick misplayed a ball and left, which allowed Gary Sanchez, of all people, to stretch a single into a double. But yeah, at the end of the day, he got ambushed again, and it's something he's going to have to find a counterpunch to. He already did after the one disastrous start. He comes back against the Yankees and is just dominant, and then he comes back next time out and unfortunately just struggles. And so it's a little bit of a hit or miss right now with Kirby. But yeah, overall, I'm not too concerned because, George is George. He's a really good pitcher who, we thought might get some Cy Young votes this year. He'll have to go on one heck of a run down the stretch here to keep that idea alive. But overall, he's still been very good this year. And yeah, it's 2 bad outings in a row. But like we saw with Luis Castillo, these guys are just too good to just be this bad for this long. And eventually he'll figure something out. So no, I'm not worried about it overall.
So what do you think is the plan for a counterattack for him? Because, we talk about it all the time that George doesn't have overwhelming stuff. He has good stuff, but he doesn't have overwhelming stuff. The thing that puts him above the rest is his elite command. But when you live as much as he does in the strike zone with stuff that isn't very overwhelming, aren't you just going to repeatedly run into issues like this? Like, how do you change your game plan enough where this game plan from opposing offenses is negated?
Well, you do what you did against the Yankees and have extreme command and hit the corners every time, and you can go 8 innings and only throw 85 pitches because this is a risky game plan for offenses. Because if you're on your game, you're going to get deep. You're going to get deep into the game. Now, there's certain things they can look at. Are they tipping pitches? Maybe. Is there a pitch mix thing? Does he have a tendency to throw, 75% first pitch fastballs? There are some things that they can look at that they can tweak, but ultimately it just comes down to George being on the edges, being on the corners. And today, he was trying to get that upper shelf fastball, just never really got there consistently enough. He was just above the zone enough that guys could lay off of it. And then when he came into the zone, he was getting knocked around. So, I think that ultimately they'll look at, is he tipping pitches? They'll look at, is there a certain pitch mix here that's not working that we need to tweak? But overall, it's just one of those things that for Kirby, it comes down to command. It comes down to, really good command and control. And I think it's just about, looking internally at what is happening. Am I tipping my pitches? Am I throwing the 2-seamer more than I need to? Am I not throwing my curveball enough? Blah, 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 blah. So there's a lot of internal review that happens after every single start. So it's not like it should take him months and months to figure this out. But ultimately, I think it just comes down to command, because I think Kirby honestly is okay. If you're going to swing early in the count, fine, good. That helps me. But you have to make sure that if they're going to have that game plan, you're not going to get many free strikes. So you have to be on the corners constantly.
Mhm.
And you have to mix it up a little bit. But other than that, like I don't think Kirby's afraid of guys swinging at the first or second pitch every time out. I think he welcomes that. It just means that you have to be that much more fine, early in the count.
Yeah, and the command just not there today for Kirby. He gave up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 hard hit balls.
Yep.
The off speed command was really not present. He had 11 whiffs in this game over his 3 2/3 innings pitch. All of them were on the fastball though.
Yeah.
So no whiffs on the off speed stuff. That's just not going to play. That's not going to get the job done. So a little bit of a roller coaster of a last few starts for Kirby, where he's really down in one start, then is amazing against the Yankees, and now takes quite a few steps back with today's outing. But again, like you mentioned as well, some bad BABIP luck, to be sure. He wraps up his day 3 2/3 innings pitched. Like I mentioned, 5 earned runs on 11 hits, 3 strikeouts, no walks, and the 1 3-run home run from Gary Sanchez. This offense also did nothing to pick Kirby up, and this Mariners pitching staff as well. We're going to talk more about another just really lifeless performance from the Mariners bats and more in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you by BetterHelp. Getting to know yourself can be a lifelong process, especially because we're always growing and changing. Therapy is all about deepening your self-awareness and understanding, because sometimes we don't know what we want or why we react the way we do until we talk through things. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who can take you on that journey of self-discovery from wherever you are. Therapy can be helpful for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It can empower you to be the best version of yourself. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. And if you don't feel that your match is suitable for you, no worries. You can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnMLB today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnMLB. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners postgame show. Thank you again for making us your first listen after the Mariners 10-3 loss to the San Diego Padres. The Mariners have another, I know, Diego. Come on. It was like barely. Like I pulled it off in the end. Come on.
You're the one that's holding us up right now.
The Mariners. Yeah, I can't underestimate your ability to create chaos. Yes, I know. I learned my lesson. Okay. The Mariners have another off day tomorrow after being in San Diego, and they'll get back after it on Friday for a weekend series with the Angels. You can catch that series on the Mariners hometown broadcast with SiriusXM via the SXM app. All right, so another rough one for the Mariners offense today. Again, they didn't score until the 8th inning, and that was really because of poor command from the Padres reliever, whose name escapes me at the moment. Doesn't matter. He's irrelevant in this whole story. Yeah. So I don't, whatever. There isn't even really a follow-up to that. There's no question. It's just another day, same story, same bat channel, etc. Like this offense is just in a dark place right now. Jared Kelenic at least had a couple of hits today, 3 hard hit balls overall on the day. He's been really struggling as of late, so that was good to see. He got moved down the lineup to 6 today. He was He ended up hitting behind Teoscar Hernandez today. Teo wasn't able to stay hot. He went 0 for 3 today. Did have a hard hit ball. Also walked, which is, pretty surprising when it comes to Teoscar Hernandez. But you didn't really get much out of Ty France today. Didn't really get much out of Julio today. He had an infield RBI single in that 8th inning, but again, garbage time. Doesn't really matter. Sticking with Kelenic though here. So you guys, we put out a poll the other day asking you guys which Mariners position player we should get behind to act as the unofficial campaign managers for the All-Star game. You guys voted for Kelenic by a landslide earlier today, and Kelenic's been on a little bit of a slide here, and there's a lot of good outfielders in the American League. I feel, and Colby, I think you agree with this, that if we had to pick one of the 3 guys that we asked you guys about, JP Crawford might have the best argument of the 3, might have the best path to making the All-Star team. So I think we're actually going to go with JP, right, Colby?
Well, I'm a man of the people, so I would say that they should dictate who we campaign for. But sure, yeah, I mean, we can, if you want to, we can go to JP.
Causing chaos.
Yeah.
Chaos. Yep, I get it. Yep.
No, let's just be frank about it. Now, here's the deal with Kelenic. He still has enough time
Sure.
to actually kind of like reignite his campaign, and we have 2 weeks until the starters are announced, I think. And then obviously I don't think we're hoping that he's a starter. I think we're just hoping that he would be on the team, but he still has 2 weeks. So if he has, if he goes 2 for 3 every night, then he's probably an all-star. But he just doesn't have much of a shot right now. He's sliding pretty fast. There are other outfielders for teams who are only going to get one player into this game. That they will probably represent over him. So it's just such an uphill climb. And honestly, after watching him for the last week or so since we put that poll up, I just can't. Like, no. You guys have watched Kelenic the last week. You really think he's an all-star? Do you really think this isn't just some like fan servicey like pity vote? No, it is. So JP's a guy who actually is in a race right now. He's, I think, the 3rd or 4th most valuable shortstop in the American League. The game is in Seattle, obviously. I think that means more to JP to play in this game than it does Kelenic, to be quite frank. And JP is just honestly a better candidate. So, yeah, I think we might switch to JP here. But here's the beauty. I mean, you can vote for whoever you want. Like it's not our job. It's not like you're only turning in ballots that are just JP Crawford. Vote for Jared Kelenic too. That's totally fine. We don't care. It's the All-Star game. I don't take it too seriously.
So, all right, Wander Franco, Bo Bichette, those guys are far and away the 2 best. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're the 2 best shortstops in the American League this year, and by a lot. But after that, it starts to get muddied a little bit. JP's right there. Jeremy Pena's right there. Bobby Witt, in terms of like F-WAR, is right there, but that's mostly defense. And obviously the Royals have to get someone in, but they don't vote guys in based off of defense. So
Kansas City's got Salvador Perez, and Aroldis Chapman's probably going to make it. So that might be their rep, but yeah, I think JP's got the best shot. Obviously, again, he's not going to beat Franco or Bichette. That's ridiculous. But could he beat Pena? Could he beat Witt? Yeah, I think he could.
I think he absolutely should beat Bobby Witt, because again, defense is the only thing that's really carrying Witt's value right now. Like, he's slashing 237, 271, 422. He's hitting home runs. That's about it.
Yep.
JP right now has a higher WRC plus than Pena. He has a far better on base percentage than Pena. He's walking a hell of a lot more than Pena right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if we're just speaking, and on top of that, I mean, JP's having arguably his best defensive season in the last couple of years. He's just been better than Pena. Like, Pena is obviously, World Series MVP, and he's probably the more exciting player, like on the national scope. But JP really statistically deserves it more than Pena. So if the American League is carrying a third shortstop as of now, I think that should be JP Crawford.
Right. So here's what we're gonna do. Obviously, we have to let other people know about our campaign. So that's where you guys come in. We are going to bribe you, which we're very good at. So we're going to do a giveaway. Regardless if JP gets in or not, we will be giving away this lovely autographed Luis Castillo card, which was sent to us by a fan. So thank you very much. I don't know if he wants us to say his name, so I'll let you let us know if you want us to give you a
Sure.
personal shout out. But this card came to us from a fan, so no matter what, we will give away this Luis Castillo autograph card. Here's how you enter. It's very simple. Send us proof on Twitter or via email. We'll take email. Show us your ballot where you voted for JP. Do it 5 times a day, but you just have to send us the one. Send us proof that you voted for JP. Use the hashtag. What do we decide, Ty?
JP for ASG.
Yes.
So the number 4.
Yeah.
Yep. So JP, the number 4 ASG.
Just send us a screenshot of your ballot with that hashtag on it, and you'll be entered to win. We prefer it to be on Twitter just because that's how you get a movement going, so to speak.
Sure.
But if you don't have a Twitter and you just want to email us that and be entered to win the card, that's great. That'll work too. So we'll enter you in
LockedOnMariners@gmail.com, by the way.
Yes, thank you. So that's the way to enter. If you want to throw us a subscribe, that would be great too, but it's not necessary because this is a Twitter and email entry type of thing. If JP Crawford gets in, now it could be via the fan vote, which not going to happen, but if he gets in at all, then we'll put together a Mariners prize pack. I have some more autos that I'm willing to throw in. I have some cool gear that I found that's a little bit older stuff that I'll throw into a box as well. Ty is going to get you tickets right behind home plate, I heard, so it's going to be awesome.
Sure.
So again, just just send us the ballot, right? Send us a picture of your ballot. Use the hashtag JP4ASJ. You'll be entered to win this Luis Castillo card, and then hopefully, what?
G, not J.
Oh, did I say J?
If you're gonna give me crap over San Diego, I'm giving you crap over ASJ.
That's fine. I've already created more than enough chaos for you today.
Sure.
So yeah, JP for ASG. I've been saying ASJ since Austin Safarian Jenkins. So go ahead and just tweet that at us.
That is a pull. That is a hell of a pull.
Yeah. Things have gone downhill since I was first started saying that. But yeah, you'll be entered to win the Luis Castillo card if he gets in, even if it's as a replacement. Ty and I will we'll throw something together and send it to one of you lucky fans, and it'll be pretty cool. Like, it's not gonna be mind blowing stuff, but I think it's pretty cool. I found some really cool stuff that I'm willing to give away, and it's Mariner related, and I think it'll be fun. And plus, hey, you know what? The vibes are down right now. Let's send somebody to the All-Star game. Let's send JP Crawford to the All-Star game to help everybody's vibes right now.
I need something positive to hold on to right now. I need this, guys. I need this. So
yeah. Put it down in the comments. JP for ASG. And
for Ty's mental well-being.
Sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I figured that was a better use of our valuable 6 minutes here than talking about that offense. So
yeah.
So let's do it, guys. Let's get him in. We'll mention this on the top of the second segment every day. But you know what also would be really nice if JP just went 20 for his next 40 or something crazy like that. That would help us out a lot too. So, JP, do your job. But we're here for you. We're going to rally behind you. And we're going to send JP to the All-Star game. And I predict he will be the 4th Mariner to play in the Midsummer Classic this year.
4th Mariner. Who are the other 3?
We'll get to that right after that. No, I would say Julio Rodriguez, Luis Castillo, and Paul Sewald, actually.
Paul Sewald. C.S. Wald in the All-Star game. All right.
I would totally rep Sewald, be his campaign manager, but unfortunately, we don't get to pick the pitchers. So we have no control over that.
Disappointing. All right. So hashtag JP for ASG. Let's get that thing going and send us your proof of your vote for JP Crawford, and you'll be entered into our next giveaway.
Mm-hmm. I heard Ty's working on this awesome graphic to throw up on Twitter and everything. So it's like
you said yourself you created enough chaos.
It's like Mariners Twitter like level good. The graphic.
You
just wait till you guys see it. Like Jose
that's
Rivera
enough.
would be proud.
That's enough chaos from you. That's enough chaos.
I mean, I feel like you have to do it though.
Jose, please don't look at my Twitter. You don't want to.
Or maybe you could just do like a nice campaign sign.
Sure.
But if you're lazy.
Sure. All right. Enough with today. We already said enough with today like 5 minutes ago. So we're going to focus on last night because the Mariners actually won a baseball game last night. Their first and only win of the month of June so far. We're going to talk about Logan Gilbert, who was pretty dang good last night. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners postgame show is brought to you by Bird Dogs. Now, I hate shopping for summer clothes. I just want to be comfortable no matter if I'm at the ballpark or back at home recording an episode of Locked On M's. Oftentimes, though, I find myself settling for clothes that feel cheap, tight, and restricting and just make me sweat in all the wrong places. Gross, I know. Thankfully, Bird Dogs has me and therefore you covered. Their wide selection of insanely comfortable shorts, joggers, sweatpants, polos, and more have me ready for any occasion this summer throws my way. I mean, who doesn't love stretchy fabric and built-in underwear? It's time to look good, feel good, and play good this summer. Go to birddogs.com/lockedonmlb, and when you enter promo code LockedOnMLB, they'll throw in a free custom Bird Dogs Yeti-style tumbler with every order. Because what's even more important than staying comfortable this summer? Staying hydrated. And you can do both with Bird Dogs. Again, that's birddogs.com/lockedonmlb. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners postgame show. Thank you again for making us your first listen after the Mariners 10-3 loss to the San Diego Padres. Again, Mariners off tomorrow. They'll get back after it on Friday with a trip to Anaheim. You can catch all the action on the Mariners hometown broadcast with SiriusXM via the SXM app. All right, Logan Gilbert last night. Pretty good. You and I earlier today when we were recording our Patreon show, patreon.com/controllthezone again. We talked about, what has kind of led to Gilbert's success this year, because look, really any way you slice it right now, Gilbert is currently having his best season at the major league level. I think that's a pretty fair statement to make here. And the big part of that is the K rate is up. He's rocking a 10.01 Ks per 9 right now. And we're, nearing mid-June. So that would be by far his highest mark on that front. And of course, this year we've seen kind of a reinvented Logan Gilbert with the presence of that splitter. Is that really what's changed things for Gilbert, or what's ultimately here, by your assessment, leading to Gilbert's success right now?
Right now, it's all the off speed, the slider, the curveball, and the new splitter. Slider and curveball are much better than they were last year. Opponents' batting average and slugging on both of those pitches are way down. He's throwing them in the strike zone for strikes. He can expand the zone with both of those breaking balls now. And obviously the splitter plays so well off of the fastball since it's tunneled from the exact same arm slot as the fastball. It's interesting. The fastball has actually been his worst pitch this year. And it's not even as good as it was last year. So Gilbert has really needed the off-speed stuff to play up, and it has. And so, that's really the big difference right now. Gilbert still gets value out of his fastball. I mean, it may be the pitch you're most likely to get hit off of, but it's also the pitch you're going to see the most. So that kind of makes sense. But he's still getting value off the fastball because he's using it at the top of the zone. For swing and miss, he's using it on the corners to set up the slider just off the plate, and obviously he's using it really well off of the splitter because it's thrown from the exact same arm slot with the exact same arm speed. So the fastball is still what allows all the other pitches to play up a little bit, but Gilbert's ability to throw them in the strike zone and throw them just outside of the strike zone. That's what's the difference is right now with Gilbert. It's just better control, better command of all of his off speed.
And we've seen the walk rates go down even further. Walks obviously haven't been an issue for Gilbert at the major league level, but they're down even further from where they were through the first 2 years. He was around, 2.5 walks per 9. Right now he's at like 1.65, I think, something like that, somewhere around there. So that's nice. The thing that really stands out to me though, and this is a credit to the off speed stuff playing up more, ground ball rate has gone up from about 5%. He entered the season around 36% ground ball rate. That's now up to 41. I'll get the specific number here in a second. 41.3% this year.
Yeah, he's a much more balanced pitcher. In the past, he was heavy fly ball. Now he's much more balanced between strikeout, ground ball, and fly ball. And yeah, if Gilbert has a pretty good month here of June, he's got a shot to make that all-star team too. He's off to a really good start. The numbers are really good. Probably doesn't get it on the first shot, but as we know, about 5 to 10 arms every year decide they're not going to pitch in the all-star game. I don't know if this is true, but maybe they favor the hometown team if there's a tiebreaker type of situation. And Gilbert's probably pretty solidly in that next group of also deserving all-stars. So Gilbert's got a shot here if he continues to pitch well. Kind of put the bat out in against the Yankees behind him. And he went out there and he shoved yesterday against, not a very good lineup, unless, you watch today. But not a very good lineup, but he still went out there. He did his job. He dominated. And, he even dominated the few good hitters that were in that lineup last night. Tatis and Soto really couldn't do much against Gilbert. So, yeah, Logan, as long as he can keep getting value with his off-speed stuff in the strike zone, then he's going to get guys to expand. And there's still even a little bit room for improvement because, as I said, the fastball hasn't been quite as good as it was last year. So if he can get all 4 of those pitches working at the same time with his command, with his extension, with his mound presence, sky's the limit for Logan Gilbert. And an all-star nod is certainly not out of the realm of possibility if he has a good month of June.
And right now, I mean, if the all-star teams were determined by F4, which they're not, just have to say that. But again, if they were determined by F4, Logan Gilbert would be a no-brainer, really. He's 11th right now amongst all major league starters in F4 at 1.9. Luis Castillo is 8th, just for reference, by the way. So Luis Castillo and Logan Gilbert, by all accounts, really amongst the elite of starting pitchers this year. And George Kirby, even with a bad start today, not too far behind either. He entered today 13th. Now, I don't think today helped his F4 by any stretch. He might have lost a point or two off of that number, but yeah. So,
yeah. And we got to run here, but I do want to point out how yesterday's game, kind of the blueprint for the Mariners. They faced a pitcher with good stuff, good starting pitcher. And even though they weren't really able to put anything up against him, they only scored 1 run. They controlled the zone very well. Yes, they struck out, I think, 8 times in 5 innings, but 103 pitches, a ton of 2 out, 2 strike. They fouled off a ton of pitches. They really, they jacked up his pitch count. They got him out of there early. They made him throw a lot of high stress pitches. And then what did they do? They attack the bullpen. They make San Diego get to their bullpen earlier than they want to. They feast off of the kind of the middle guys instead of the high leverage guys. They scrap one. They get one off of Honeywell on the Teoscar Hernandez home run, which was a great at bat, by the way, for Teo. They take the lead. They get the dominant pitching they need. They set up the bullpen exactly how they want it. Munoz and then Sewald. They get the little insurance runs against, again, another, not the high leverage type in the San Diego bullpen. That win yesterday, it felt good. It felt familiar. It felt repeatable. And that's how you're going to want to win games going forward. Obviously, you want to score more runs, but you win 4-1. You get dominant pitching. You don't beat yourself. You play good defense. You control the zone really well. You make a bunch of pitchers throw. You don't chase. You make them throw quality pitches to get you out. Doesn't matter if you strike out as long as you make them throw quality pitches, and you win. And that's the formula with your big back end guys. Now that Munoz is back, who looked fantastic, by the way. That's the formula. That's the repeatable way to win for the Mariners, and that's what you want to see going forward. Yeah, today sucked, and obviously because you got blown out twice in Texas and you got blown out twice by the Yankees, they all start to run together and they all start to look really bad. Don't overlook how good yesterday's game was, how clean yesterday's game was. That is the blueprint going forward. That's how you're going to beat Shohei Ohtani on Friday if you do. You're going to have to play that type of game where you just grind it out, get him out of the game early, attack the bullpen, have good pitching. You're going to have Castillo on the bump. Your bullpen's going to be well rested coming off the off day. That's how you're going to win. That is how you're going to get back into this playoff race, by playing the game like you did on Tuesday.
All right. Well, hopefully they can take that formula with them to Anaheim. Again, you can catch all the action this weekend on the Mariners hometown broadcast with SiriusXM via the SXM app. That's going to do it for our show today. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners postgame show. For Colby Patnode, I'm Trident Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Dane Gonzalez. That's DaneGNZLZ. And Colby at CPAT11. That's CPAT11. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok as well over at Locked On Mariners. That's one word, Locked On Mariners. You can also find all that stuff in the description of this episode. Thank you again for making us your first listen after the Mariners' 10-3 loss to the San Diego Padres. Have yourself a beautiful baseball day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.